Okay there. Hello to A again. So, our instruments this week. We went over a new instrument. This, as you all know already, is a djembe. Wah! So djembes often, not always, but typically are made out of wood, resemble a goblet kind of a shape, from West Africa, usually played in between the legs, sometimes on a strap. Yeah, that's a djembe, usually goat hide, can be rope, can be screws, can be synthetic head. But again, typically West Africa, goblet-shaped drum with the tension of a goat thickness and that bright sound. All those qualities together, we would typically classify that drum as a djembe, especially if it's from West Africa. Ooh, what you got in the bag, Marcus? Ooh, hoo, hoo. So this is another drum that has a similar shape. You can find it on the same continent of Africa, although it's much more northeastern from probably the Mediterranean Sea eastward. You can find it all across the Silk Road. This is not a djembe. This is typically, they would oftentimes use a goat or other things, but as you can see, this is not a goat. This is plastic on top. But the body typically now are things like metal or ceramic, other harder implements like that instead of wood. They're again, metal, ceramic, spun copper, cast iron, pressed aluminum, all kinds of metals, beautiful mosaic, ceramics. These drums are called, they have two names, and either one is fine, Doumbek or darbuka. Either one, again, is fine. It's kind of a locality thing, being that they can be found across so many regions. They are known by many different names. As you can see, this is a very sturdy drum. So, this drum, unlike how the djembe would be associated with calling people to your a village for a party or something like that, less of a travel type drum. It was more associated with villages and established settlements like that, because you had to have time to grow the tree, get associated with all that. Not only the tree and setting up a farm for your goats and things like that. This drum is much more associated with nomadic style of life. So it's associated with a lot of people known as the Bedouins. Bedouins is not just one ethnic group of people. There's many ethnic, religious, tribal groups that get grouped together as Bedouin people. And that's a word that us as settled people use to describe a lot of this group, even though it describes a lot of different, very different kinds of people. But one thing that connects all of the Bedouin people together, you could say, is not only their affiliation and their association with nomadic lifestyles, but also having the darbuka or the doumbek in their culture. So, being that you're a nomadic person, let's pretend, it might be harder to repair a drum like this on the road, because I don't know in the desert when is the next time I'm gonna be coming across a good tree like this that I can use, that I won't have to rely on next season to provide fruit for me on this journey, you know? If we're migrationally going a similar route year to year, or sometimes even across a 5-year span, I want to ensure that this tree is there providing food when I get there. I don't necessarily want to chop it down. So they used other implements to build instruments such as clay, metals, other implements like that, especially, again, if it got broken, if a camel or something stepped on it, this would be easier to repair in the desert than something where you have to find more wood, where there might be a scarcity of it. So, it is a different instrument with a different history, and thus you also would play it a little bit differently. A little bit, not completely. This, again, is not from the Caribbean islands area, but it does have some similar you could say physics about it. So, as you can see, it has a center, has rims, but I don't typically hold it between my legs. I typically hold it tucked up in one arm. I'm right-handed, so my right hand is usually free, and my left hand is usually hung up on top like this. So you can get our bass notes, again, in the middle of the drum. But I'm not hitting my whole hand, as you can see, like we would for our other drums. I'm using my fingertips and kind of my palm a little bit, kind of like this, and hitting with my palm and letting my fingers, boom, bounce off. Out here at the rim, kind of like if I was playing a finger technique on the bongos. And again, for my slap, very similar to my bongos. Up here, my left hand, it's doing a lot of the same tones and slap motions. It's also using a lot more finger technique, similar to another instrument. We'll be reviewing the rick. If any of you remember what the rick is, we're gonna go over that later. So. That is the Doumbek or darbuka. Being that we've been going over bongos and some bongo specific rhythms, it's a good pairing because you use a lot of the same technique to get the sound out of these guys that you would, in my opinion, get the sound out of these guys. So that's why we cover some of the darbuka and Doumbek in this section. I've seen some people use it similar to how we use the idea of using two drums, where you can go. You can do a lot of fun stuff with the Doumbek or darbuka, being that they're so travel friendly and compactable and repairable and durable. All right, take care.